Lolly Lolly says, do you think that learning a new language can change your mindset? And the answer is yes, but it's different for each person. And the best way I know to communicate it is to talk a little bit about my experience of seeing others, right? Because others are windows for me to understand how people think and how people improve. So I'll give a couple of examples. First example I'd like to talk about is my wife. So when she and I first met, she didn't really like English. She didn't really speak English even. And she gradually began to speak it more as we got married and after we dated for a while. But then after coming to the United States from China, she began to realize, oh, this is an important part of life in America. If I have really good English, that will be a window into opportunities, right? Because if you're here and you don't have really good English and you have really bad English, your opportunities are limited. If you want to have really good opportunities, if you have really good English, you can get that. You can have access to tons of possible jobs, more friends, discussion groups, all kinds of things. So I think she realized that, wow, I really need to focus on this. So she did. But as a result of that, she began to realize, oh, I'm improving my English a lot. That's giving me all kinds of new opportunities, career events I'm being invited to, new friends I'm making that I wouldn't have made if my English weren't good enough, and jobs, all that kind of stuff. But then, wait a second. So what if I start improving other things about myself? What if I start working on other aspects of me? Maybe I'll learn a new skill. Maybe I'll sign up for a course on Udemy, right? So she started doing that. Oh, maybe I'm interested in yoga. Learn that. So now I think she's become a kind of passionate learning person, whereas she wasn't really that before. Now she's very passionate about learning and improving herself in general, and is honestly very inspiring to me. I look at her and think, wow, look, this person is constantly trying to improve, get better, get smarter, get wiser, and it's an inspiration. So the beginning of that journey, I think, for her was the language part. Now I have another friend, and actually posting a video about this on the other channel, so make sure you check that out, about someone who grew up at a young age learning English, right? But who then went on to learn not only English, also Romanian, and also French, and is now beginning to learn Japanese. And he, if you watch that interview, you'll see it, he told me, this is what he said, this is something that once you start doing it becomes a process in your mind, like your brain is now able to handle learning languages. It builds out a structure for learning. So whether you're learning English or French or whatever, it's easier and easier over time to pick up the words, to pick up the grammar as well. And so it changes your mind in that way too, in addition to opening up way more opportunities, right? And he said basically, if you don't know at least English and you can't speak it well, you are imprisoned by your country and your language, and you can't get outside of it. And if you're okay with that, okay. But if you want to access the world, if you want to make international friends, if you want to have many career opportunities, then you have to have a high level of English. And that's just the reality of the world right now. That's the reality. So I think those two examples are good. There are many others, but I think the answer to the question is absolutely yes, but in different ways for different people, right? And there are so many stories out there. I've started interviewing people for that reason because I think it's an interesting thing to learn about how people think and how learning languages affects the way that they think, the way that they develop, and the way that they see the world. Very interesting. Great question, Lolly Lolly. Thanks a lot. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Also, subscribe and check out my full courses in the links in the description.